you know what's been going on, man. You see what's going on here in the city of Cleveland. And Jameis Winston has this like really, really like infectious energy. You know what I'm saying? He seems to be like this battery pack that seems to be like galvanizing the troops, like, you know, rejuvenizing people and just giving them the spark. You hear what he talk about, you know, you just see everything about it. And you have the unique position of you've played with Jameis Winston. Like, talk about who Jameis is, the man, before we get to Jameis, the player. Because a lot of people think of what they see is fabricated out here.
The funny thing about Jameis is everything you see, that's really him. Like the awkwardness, like the faith, the wholeness. He's very genuine. He's very authentic. So what you see from Jameis is what you see on a daily basis, right? In the locker room, he's the same way. Maybe a little more goofy, maybe a little bit more silly, maybe a little more down to earth in the locker room. But what you see as far as his faith walk, as far as him talking to the players, motivating the players, him being one of the hardest workers in the building every single day, that's him, bro. Like, that's legit him. He's an awesome dude to be around. I was fortunate to be around him as a younger player, right? So to see his maturity now and to see how he handles himself now is a really, 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 I'm just super proud of him, right? But what you see, honestly, bro, honestly, is what you get every single day. I mean, from eating W's, right? To the talking about, we're representing the team in our helmet. Well, there's no decals on the helmet, so representing the Brown, like this, all this silliness, right? That's him. He's just a cool dude, fun to be around. It's contagious. Whatever he has is contagious, right? You want to be around him. You want to play well for him. He wants to go out there and play well, and he knows he can play well week in and week out. So, yeah, man, as a man, what you see is what you get. Really, really good dude.
The other day I was on Instagram and one of the reels came up from when he was back in his hometown, and he was showing the reporters his house that he grew up in, and he was out there. He was like, "Yeah, man, we used to just drink the water out the faucet. You just had to watch out for the pee, though. You know, you had to watch out for the pee." I'm like, man, hey, Jameis has always been like no holds barred. I used to like, you know, just watch different things like when the Saints was good, and he was the backup quarterback at the time. I think, you know, he started off as the starter. He got hurt, and then he was the backup. But he was always the last dude in the locker room because he wanted to make sure that, you know, he gave dap and high fives to every single player as they was leaving the field. And just sitting there watching it, I remember I had this thought cross my mind, like, damn, not too many backup quarterbacks take that approach. And, you know, so like it's clearly this is truly who he is. You know what I mean? A natural born leader. And I believe that before he got to Cleveland, he possibly could have went a few other places and really been able to compete for a starting job. And, you know, I remember him saying he felt like God led him to the Cleveland Browns. You know, and a lot of people, you know, people don't really, they trip on the faith talk or whatever the case may be sometimes. But, you know, I believe it. And sometimes it be factors that's unbeknownst to anything that got to do with the locker room. You know what I mean? That just leads you somewhere.
Man, everything about him is real. He's just a leader. You know what I mean? So when he says that the Lord left him there and he felt like he should be in the right spot, I mean, I can't knock him for that. I truly believe that because look at the situation we're in now, and it's interesting because he started off as, and correct me if I'm wrong, he was three, right? He
Yeah.
was three. He was behind DTR,
So
behind Deshaun Watson.
in the offseason, before we even started the season, Jameis Winston's name came up in trade talks. Mm-hmm. You know, we had a lot of quarterbacks on the roster, and there was a situation like he was the backup, and I think the game Deshaun got hurt. For whatever reason, that particular game, he was demoted to the emergency quarterback, and DTR was to serve as Deshaun's backup. Mm-hmm. Why the Browns made that decision in that particular time, I don't know. You know what I mean? You would assume that they thought Jameis possibly could have been on the move then because of all the injuries that was going on. But, you know, like to me, he just seemed like of the quarterbacks that was in the room from day one, like he was the leader of that room, even with Deshaun in it. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm pretty sure you've seen that. What was it like being out there on the football field playing? You know what I mean? Like, because you got that unique experience. It wasn't a long period of time, but what was that like? Just Jameis the player, you having that point of view.
Again, just a straight up leader, man. Like even I think I had him year 2 of his career, year 2 or year 3. It was younger, like in 2016.
Mhm.
I can't remember when he was drafted. I think he was drafted 2015, if I'm not mistaken. He was the first
Mhm.
overall pick in 2015, I believe, out of Florida State. But he was kind of like in that early age. You heard about the crab leg stealing. You heard about some of the silly things he was doing at Florida State. So me coming in, I just got cut from Houston. I'm like, all right, let's see what he does. Let's see who he is. He was a leader. Like the same way he gave high fives, like you mentioned for the Saints, the last one off the field. That's the same way he was at practice. That's the same way he was in Tampa Bay with when we were losing and winning. Right? He would find ways to work hard after practice, find ways to watch film with the receivers, find ways to stand up in the meeting rooms and communicate with you. And then his arm has always been his arm. Like he can make any throw. The
Yeah.
issue for him wasn't throwing the ball. It wasn't what throw he couldn't make. It was decision making, right? It was him thinking his arm was too good and trying to fit in his window. It was him thinking his arm was, he can make any type of throw with no matter what the coverage is. That was his issue early on, right? I mean, he had one year where he had 35 touchdowns and 30 interceptions, right? It was
Mhm.
it was him forcing the ball was the issue. It was never his talent. Super talented dude. Can make any throw in the field, communicates at a high level on the field, will pull you aside and say, hey, look for this. As a receiver, I can go to him and say, hey, on this route, on the in cutting route, hit me in the second window. Like it was just great communication from him. But it's fun to see the maturity now. It's fun to see him grow up now. So he's able to have less turnover. Still some there, still some there, right? But much. He knows when he plays turnover-free football, he's a pretty good quarterback.
A random thought that just came to my mind when you was talking. Like throughout your career as a wide receiver, like you being a former high school quarterback, did that help that communication?
Oh, for sure, for sure. 'Cause I understood the drops. I understood,
Right.
quick game. I understood like where to be at the right time. It was about how do I get there, right? How
Yeah.
do I get there as a receiver? But yeah, it helped. It helped big time. Now, when you talk about, hey, I played quarterback too. They were Jameis and them, whoever. They were like, man, whatever, get out of here. I'm like, "Hey,
I do
we'll
tell
play."
people that though. I was like, y'all know Cecil was a quarterback though. Like, you know what I mean? Like Cecil was the quarterback. He could hit the baseball. The dude love to hoop. Like, but so we have Sean King on our show
Yeah, yeah,
every
that's a good
week, and
job. That's a good job.
he does a great job breaking down Jameis film game to game, and he said the Cleveland Browns has found their quarterback. Now you know the situation here. Deshaun Watson, he make a whole lot of money. The Browns was to cut Deshaun Watson. I think that's like an $80 million cap hit.
Ooh, how much, Earl?
About 80.
Ooh,
80, wait, 80 M's. 80 M's, man. You know what we can do in the city of Cleveland with 80 M's?
with 80? Ooh,
80 M's, man. The whole CMSD getting new schools, new football fields, new
yeah,
tracks, new
yeah,
equipment, new everything.
yeah.
Like real talk. With Jameis, I'm starting to buy into okay, Jameis can be a long-term option. And I guess a long term to me is 2-3 years, right? A bridge to the next quarterback here. I think that when you got a quarterback in the room who's been a number one overall pick, he's thrown for 5,000 yards, 4,000 yards. He'd have won a Heisman Trophy.
Mm.
He didn't, threw for 30 interceptions. He'd have been benched. He'd have been a backup quarterback. He's been through the ups and the downs. And I think, man, just journeying through life, man. Like those is the people you kind of want, like leading the troops. You think Jameis should be in the talks for 2025 and beyond for the Browns?
I think he should have the opportunity to show it, right? I truly believe if you look at what, first of all, no offense to Deshaun Watson, but he's playing better than what Deshaun ever did when he was in the Cleveland Browns uniform, in my opinion.
Oh, that's
He,
facts.
he's giving the Browns fans a little bit of hope, like, okay, hey, Jameis can actually go out there and play. He can throw for 3,000 or 300 yards in a game. He can hit Judy down the sideline. He can hit Tillman. He can hit these different guys and open up the passing game, which will help open up Chubb in the running game once Chubb gets back in his rhythm, right? I think you got to look at the whole entire picture. And I think you got to look at this year's draft. You can look at Deshaun's contract. You can look at this year's draft. You can look at the history of the Browns. They've been through so many quarterbacks, 20 plus, right? And I never forget, this. Growing up, I would see guys at the Brown Stadium game with a Tim Couch jersey, but They have like a list of quarterbacks going down and how many quarterbacks we've had. So in my opinion, it's like, why rush? Why rush to draft another guy when you're already in lockdown with Deshaun? And eventually you'll get rid of him, right? That contract somehow. But why not just make the team better? And if you look at the draft this year, I think Shador by far is the best quarterback out there. But we all know Deion Sanders is in charge of Shador, and he's not letting him come to Cleveland. And rightfully so. Look at the history, rightfully so, right? I get that part. So if you can't get the best quarterback, why waste a first-round pick on anybody else if you don't believe in him? Like, why? Cam Ward, I love, but I think he holds the ball way too long. I don't know if I'm ready to invest that much money in the first round to another quarterback again. I'd rather make the team better. The team is already solid. Make the team better, stay healthy, and then build around Jameis from there. Like you said, another 2 or 3 years, or let him compete is what I'm saying. Let him compete for the starting job. Make the team better, add different pieces on offense, different pieces on defense, and then see how it goes. And he can be a guy. Maybe he's another Geno Smith, right? Can kind of revitalize his career with good pieces around him. You got 2 good running backs. You got some receivers. You got some young guys that can play. Maybe he's that type of guy because he can make plays. He's going to put you in games to win. What you seen Monday night, or was it Thursday night? Against the Steelers, he made plays for you to win that game, right? So the next 5 games for him, I think it's 5 games, maybe 6 games left. It's an audition. It really is an audition, not only for the fans to watch and say, hey, we want this guy, but for ownership, for the GM, for the head coach, like Stefanski, be like, okay, hey, we can win games with this kid because you're going against a good Broncos defense Monday night. They're a solid defense Monday night, right? Jerry Judy's get to go back, but in my opinion, you give him that opportunity the next 5-6 weeks to show what you can do. Going into the offseason, I'm not going to spend a ton of money on a quarterback. I'm going to make this team better, and we're going to ride Jameis out for the next couple of years, and then from there, when we really love a quarterback, maybe it's the 2026 draft, if somebody like Arch comes out, and you got to have him, right? Whatever the case may be, hopefully not in that position, though. Hopefully not in that draft position, right?
Right,
Trade up and go get him. But I just feel like Jameis has done enough right now, and I think he'll continue to do enough to be the quarterback for the next year or two until you find a guy that you really love, a young guy that you really, really love.
Yeah, I'm all for that. Like, I'm all for him competing. I know Albert Breer was on the radio last week, and he was saying, you know, the Browns can bring in a veteran quarterback to compete with Deshaun Watson. And in my head, it was like, don't you mean a veteran quarterback to compete with Jameis Winston? Like, you know, it'd be interesting to see how the Cleveland Browns go about that. But I think you're right. I think nothing can be handed to Jameis after 4 games. But again, this is like my fandom and that excitement of, okay, you know, you try to project going forward, you know, if he can play like this, or, you know, what will it look like at the end of this season? When you've been a starter, you've had that time with Ken Dorsey and Kevin Stefanski, how will it look? Because to your point, you can be in the first round, you can get the best tackle available. Hell, if Travis Hunter is on the board and you can see those quarterbacks go first, you can get him. I doubt that, but it's like you can put yourself in a position to really address, you know, some other needs on this football team. And quite honestly, one of these quarterbacks really might fall to the second round.
Yep.
Being like you're way more comfortable. Okay, I got my future quarterback in the second round, somebody that can sit under Jameis and learn. And the Browns might be in a situation to where you can retool this thing. Because you know, at first I used to think like maybe this is a total rebuild, you know, but maybe this is a situation to where they can just retool and keep going.
Ooh, a total rebuild. Why did you feel like that was needed?
I just felt like from top to bottom, like I think it was just in a moment frustration. If I'm being totally honest with you, like the whole Deshaun Watson thing, we never seen return on investment. When I'm looking at Andrew Berry draft picks, I can go Greg Newsome, I can go Jock, I can go Grant Delpit as quality football players. But then past that, I kind of struggle. Martin Emerson Jr. too. You know what I'm saying? But like outside of that, like I kind of struggle to find it. If you look on the offensive side of the ball, like he done had 4 or 5 drafts. There's no starters on the offensive side of the ball. And so just looking at that side of it, it's like, okay, I can deal with the swing and miss on Deshaun, bro. Because like GM swing and miss all the time. Look at John Lynch, right? In San Francisco. You traded 4 or 5 picks to move up in the draft to get Trey Lance. It didn't work out, but you hit in the draft, and it seemed like you hit on every other free agent. It just seemed like Andrew Berry got too many swings and misses when it count, and so like I'm really not even sure if I trust him to make the right pick in this situation. Like, did you watch the receiver documentary?
Yeah,
bro. Did you see when Amon St. Brown was just sitting there and he was counting the wide receivers that went before him? You know how I felt when I seen Anthony Schwartz picture pop up? It's like, man,
what? The opportunity. Yeah, the opportunity. You're right. We're right.
And so it's like, okay, is it AB? Is it his scouts? Because I think like when he was in Indy as a scout, he was kind of the guy that kind of led to them drafting Andrew Luck. So in my mind, AB know how to identify talent, but maybe your scouts don't, and maybe you trust in the information that you getting back too much.
Could be. You know, that's interesting.
That's tough, bro. That's tough, man. Big game against the Broncos. Do you think we win?
Ooh, Bo Nix is playing well. I think it's gonna be hard. I think it's gonna be hard. Now I'm not gonna knock anything. Jameis on primetime games shows up. I've been there before with him. He'll show up and he'll play. If he doesn't turn the ball over, they got a chance. But I think I got to give the nod to the Broncos right now. I think they're playing well. I think Bo Nix is playing at a high level. He's learning that Sean Payton system. And then their defense is crazy, man. Like, I think they're top 3 in the league in total defense right now, 3 or 4. So it's going to be a tough one, but it's a good audition. Again, good audition, going back to Jameis. If you can play well against that defense on a primetime stage, you're winning over not only the fans, but that organization that can bring you back and really have a shot at being that quarterback.
You played in Denver?
Yeah. It's
How
hard
tough
to breathe.
is it to play?
It's hard to breathe. It's hard. That elevation is real. Like one slant route, I'm like,
like, wait a minute.
You get off the plane. What is going on? It's different out there for real. It's truly a home field advantage.